So this is a movie that I had never heard of before. Uh, yeah, despite it being 23 years old or so now. So yeah, quite old. Never heard of it at all. I mean, I've commented in the past on movies by Bullock primarily, but I've never heard of this. I've seen other movies that were made afterwards, not so much. Yeah, she's been acting for a long time. That's for sure. Never heard of this. Never heard of this, and it's very strange. I mean, it says it's technically, supposedly a rom-com, but it's certainly not any conventional rom-com, certainly. And as far as non-conventionality goes, I mean, it's always nice to see something new, you know. So I think, in my opinion, it's most comparable to another one that I commented on in the past that is also unconventional and also slightly about magic, but more about psychology, really. Um, with a horror title, unfortunately, even though the movie, um, I don't know, the movie was better than its title, I guess. Butcher's Wife, right? Horror title, context as well, but otherwise, it's actually better than the title and context at any rate. I don't know why they set it in such a place, but yeah, it was actually made. In my opinion, it's better anyway. It seems like on average, people here seem to think that it's not. The title is certainly worse, but I personally think it's funnier, possibly. I mean, but specifically when it comes to comedy, obviously not so much the context as I said, but yeah. So this was made in '91, and this is made in '98. And on average, though, it seems like people like this better. Not so much, of course, the average opinion of critics. It seems 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, but no, I liked it personally. But I thought, as I said, the other one was funnier. When it comes to comedy, though, it's sort of hit and miss, I suppose. It's very sort of hilly, when it comes to comedy specifically. I mean, it's more of a sort of drama. The romance is obviously forced, but I wish it had a bit more comedy. It's really, I mean, physical abuse isn't comic obviously, and that's what the story ended up about in the middle, uh, only to resolve it. I don't know. It's just strange. Um, but otherwise, I don't know. It's very strange. It's only really funny in just some specific areas, really. Not many though. It's mostly a weird drama, which is about how the community receives them, really. But that's not comic at all, really. The relationships aren't very comic either. Obviously, one of them is not at all romantic, and the other one is barely there at all. I mean, I'm not sure that, as I said, it feels kind of forced. So, it's not a perfect movie by any means. But I mean, obviously, one of the comic moments was when she called her so-called family, not family, phone three. It's comic, yeah, because it normally happens in conventional sort of dramas, but this isn't a conventional drama, and she wasn't phoning them for any conventional reason. So that was funny, but it lasted very little, of course. And honestly, I mean, the movie is so dark generally, even though I mean it's supposed to still be taken from a comedic standpoint, but it's still so dark that, like, when she went upstairs after her children were calling her, um, you know, through telepathy, whatever that was. I honestly expected Nicole Kidman's character to be committing suicide or something. I don't know. She seemed unstable, but turns out she was possessed. Makes sense. I had no idea either of them acted in this. Last watched Kidman in Far and Away, actually, which was some time ago now, uh, and which is completely different as well. Of course, it's more historical drama. And I've last watched Bullock in. Well, there were obviously the miscongenialities, but there was also what else was there? I forgot. Um, not sure. Anyway, yeah, this I don't know. This this was strange. But as I said, this is the thing. This is what I think the other movie that I mentioned before, the horror title, has more comedy. It sort of has more consistent comedy. I mean, it's not like it's the funniest thing ever either. Just more consistently comic. When it comes to the person with the supposed powers and her relationships with the community as well. There isn't so much. The community there are much more receptive as opposed to here, where they're much more against them. But for being so against them, they really went into their houses very easily, didn't they? Yeah, that's the thing. So, but I mean, apparently it's considered a cult classic. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe because it's odd. It certainly is odd, but it's still very inconsistent. I think that's the one word for it. Like, I'm not sure you could consider it, proper drama because it's a strange drama, if anything. It's not, there are many things that make it not comic. The constant deaths, and due to supposed curse and such, and physical abuse, etc. So it doesn't make it, that specifically doesn't make it comic. So otherwise, you know, um, thing with the beetle is weird. The hand cutting was gruesome, I guess, and also I don't know. People really normally do that, but that's just dangerous when it comes to health, because obviously diseases can easily be passed down if they're available in blood. Yeah, so well, actually, I haven't felt many comic scenes, honestly, even though it's 144 minutes long. There aren't really, just aren't, just um, but you know, I mean, okay, using whipped cream as some sort of hex symbol was sort of funny, but it's only one image. So her going to the PT, whatever it's called, P, PTA, PTA, I think. Meeting was kind of funny, I suppose, and changing. But this is the thing, right? It's not like their supposed, capabilities were very clearly outlined. They only used them occasionally, like the steering of cup was used a couple of times. Other than that, the thing with the folder just suddenly shutting itself magically, just happened out of the blue. So, most of what they did wasn't really magic. It was just some mixture of stuff, which always makes me wonder. I mean, are these really magicians or just pharmacists? Because ultimately, maybe that's, I guess, what people must have thought of as what is now known as pharmacy back ages ago, of course, which is absurd considering plants really exist out there. Not sure anyone would think they're magic then, but people are strange, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, I honestly don't know what to think of this. Um, Strange drama, that's for sure.